Sweet. All right, what's up, guys? It is Thursday night. I got Michael and Justin with me. Hope everybody's having a good night. We're going to get into a lot of NFL stuff here, get you guys' opinions on the games, but we're going to start with the Orioles because I can't believe that the game. So what? It's been like 3 years since they played now. It's been like 5 days. Game's going to be on Saturday. I've already figured out every single scenario that can happen. I'm curious to hear your guys' takes on, like, because from a gambling standpoint, we'll start with there. From a gambling standpoint, if you like the Orioles, it's great odds, right? You have to pay. I wanted to make sure I had a few different sites up. I see 130, 117, 125. So I guess it depends. 117 was the best value I saw. So if you like the Orioles, great value. If you like them for, I thought the best value, and I know I'm probably being a homer here, but for them to just win all three games, it's 5-1 was the best I saw. And I just
sweep.
Yeah, exactly. For them to just sweep them. Yeah, for them to win all three games. Thank you. For them to they got to win all three games to win the series. But yeah, for them to sweep, I look at the breakdown for the Rangers, and Rangers are a good baseball team, but it's a better matchup for us, especially the longer the game goes. So I'll start with you, Justin, but my overall takeaway is I love the Orioles. I love the spot for us. I love us in the following series. I really feel like it's Orioles Braves. So I don't want to say talk me out of it because that's not a fun position to put you in, but I'm really high on us. I think it's the perfect matchup. And before you go, I was anxious about playing the Rays because the way that series ended, us celebrating, them having a bad taste in their mouth, I didn't want them to have chip on their shoulder come and play us. Texas, it was 3-3 split. Everybody can analyze the game to death, but go ahead, Justin. You've watched every game. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking about the Rangers and Rays. Going into it, I leaned wanting to play Texas, but then as I was watching it, I could see both ways. The Rays seemed kind of dead in a way. It seemed like they were chasing us forever, and they just got tired, and they had a lot of injuries, and they just seemed like they ran out of gas, really. And Texas, at some point in August or early September, was kind of looking like the same way. They had a lot of injuries, especially to their pitchers. And then they didn't do so great down the stretch, but still, the one thing that scares me with them is their lineup between Seager and Simeon and Garcia. They have a lot of bats that could do some damage, and I just keep thinking back to whenever we played them in June, which is a totally different story. Grayson it's done a 180 since then. I just remember him getting rocked on a Friday night,
Right.
and just
that sent them back to AAA, right?
It did. That was the game that sent them back. So I just remember that their lineup is very potent, and long story short, pitching does matter most in the playoffs, and I think we have the advantage in both the starters and the bullpen. Hopefully, our home field advantage can help us out in that case as well. So I definitely like us. And the Rangers have one of the weaker bullpens in the league. So as you mentioned, as long as we kind of stay tight and keep it close throughout the first 5 or 6 innings, we definitely have the advantage and the last at bat, at least in the first 2 games. So I definitely like us as just an Oriole fan in general. I'm just getting a little nervous, just regardless of whether I think we're gonna win or lose. It's crazy. It's almost here. We've been waiting. We know we're gonna make the playoffs for months now, but now that it's October and we're here, I'm about to host a divisional round. It's exciting, but also getting a little anxious.
Are you going to any of the games?
I'm going to Sunday game 2.
Nice. All right, so Mike, what do you Justin's scared of Seager and Simeon, of course. Where are they bat one? Is it 1-2 in the lineup, or is it
Simeon leads off, and let me see what they did. Well, Michael, you say what you want. I'll look what they've been doing so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you guys, I think, both hit it on the head. I'll start with Ryan. I didn't want to see the Rays again. I thought us and Tampa kind of throughout the 162 game season just separated ourselves from the rest of the league. I thought it was pretty unfair that they didn't get a bye. I ran to Justin the other day thinking they should re-rank kind of all of that, but I'll get into that another day. With this matchup, you hit all the right points. I think Texas's biggest weakness is their bullpen. Their starters had a couple of injuries. I mean, Montgomery's obviously very solid. Eovaldi is fantastic in the playoffs. they can always show up. But I think our starters are, for as good as they've been, are still underrated.
Mhm.
In the second half since the All-Star break, the number one pitcher ERA, I think, is Cole with like a 2.4. Number 2 and 3 are Mr. Grayson Rodriguez and Bradish. Can't believe I'm blanking on the name, but the pitching's been that good for that long that we're just a way better team than we have been throughout the season. We have frontline starting. Obviously, Bautista on the back end is really going to be difficult, but we've kind of managed and gotten to this point without him. I think in the playoffs, you'll also see maybe a starter or two kind of come in for a bullpen. We've seen Tyler Wells come into a closer role. Maybe he can be your guy in the late inning bullpen mix where Cano stays in that 8th inning and you can play matchups. I'm just so bullish on this team because like when you really just look around the American League, Boston is out, the Yankees are out, our division is out. This is the best opportunity. At first, I was just happy to make it, happy to win division, but when you really look at the 3 teams you're competing for to win the pennant, a 90-win Houston team that's not nearly as good as they've been. I know they have their playoff medal, but just not their best. Texas kind of backed in, didn't look too hot, and a Minnesota team who beat up on a bad Central. It never works this way in baseball, but it's almost like, man, we have an opportunity here to really, really seize.
So let me throw something at you that play devil's advocate on the one weakness that I think might not be getting enough attention. So Bochy's been managing forever. This will be Hyde's first playoff game. Toronto, I have no idea what they're doing, right? Barrios or Barrios, however you say his name, threw 40 some odd pitches. They take him
That
out.
was ridiculous.
So if the game goes 6, if you just told me we could fast forward to 1-1 6th inning and all the jitters were out for game 1 and game 2, like I feel more confident for game 3 because I feel like Means is going to pitch. And I guess that's why I feel like we're going to have the sweep because the emotion wins for game 1. Grayson finds a way to win game 2. And then that's my vision for it. But my question for you guys is, do you think we'll panic because we have so many bullpen guys between Flaherty, Wells, Perez, Cano? We've seen all those guys really pitch. DL Hall, he's let every guy pitch, I think, 2 innings, at least an inning and a third or an inning and 2/3 come out. So I don't want Bradish. I don't want it to be 2-2. And I feel like Bradish can continue to pitch and he's at 70, 75 pitches, but Hyde panics. Besides that, is there any other? I feel like we certainly have the edge before the game starts with Elias. That makes me feel the most confident. But once the game starts, Bochy's been around. Any credence to that? And am I missing anything else with Texas? Because if you ask people outside of Baltimore, Texas is probably the consensus pick as far as an underdog. They're not a huge underdog. They're the plus.
I don't think they're an underdog. I think it's pretty split, actually. I saw like
From a betting perspective, though, right? You can get plus 110, 115. My point is, outside of the managerial spot, I think they have bigger names in their lineup. But I actually think we're better at each position. Considering Seager and Gunnar are playing the same position, it's like it's a toss-up for me. So manager makes me a little nervous. I just want to get through the first 3-4 innings.
Yeah, both manager-wise, obviously Bochy's got the experience, World Series credentials, all that, and Hyde. It's like first time he's been here. So with them, the pressure, I don't know as a manager, I think he'll be able to handle it well. He's got his coaching staff around him. But you mentioned pressure, and I'm just wondering. I wouldn't say I'm worried, but it could happen. Like all our players are young guys. Like I started to see it a little bit in the beginning of that Rays 4-game series, where it seemed like we were chasing balls and just trying to pull them, not waiting for their pitch, and just kind of we're getting ahead of ourselves. It seemed like a little bit of the pressure was getting to him. I could be wrong. It was just 2 games really, where we were struggling. I hope that doesn't rear its head again, and that we just kind of continue to play loose and play like there's nothing to lose and all that good stuff.
I want to throw a couple specific questions at you guys just to get into the weeds of it. Just curious what you guys think. Couple scenarios. Left-handed pitcher against Seager in the most leveraged spot, assuming everybody's available between Hall, Perez, Coulomb. Who do you like the most to face Seager there? and any other lefties they have, but specifically him. Michael, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll go first. I guess just based on the entirety of the season, Coulomb probably gets the nod, maybe the first shot at him. I don't mind DL Hall getting a chance. Those would be my top two choices because he has just the electric stuff that not many other guys do, especially lefties, especially in our bullpen. So those two definitely for me for our lefties. Perez is okay. I just don't trust him as much. I know he's been better in the second half. Yeah, that's pretty much where I stand.
Any chance, Justin? This next question goes to you. Any chance Fuji doesn't make the rotation? Doesn't make the roster? And if he does make the roster,
if he makes the roster and he comes into the game on Sunday, I'm not watching. That guy in a pressure situation, I have no confidence in him at all. I don't want him to make the team.
So do they bring in Cole Irvin instead?
No. Well, that's what I was saying before. You have Kyle Gibson, you have Dean Kramer, you have all these other options that you can use at your disposal that you would not in the regular season. It's a completely different ball game. To your question, Ryan, about the managers, I'm pretty sure Hyde was there. Did he win it with the Cubs when he was there in 2016?
I asked after I said that. I thought about that
with Matt. So he's been on the bench with Madden. Joe Madden, he's into analytics. He's into all that. So part of me is afraid he could be a little bit too early with pulling the trigger and whatnot. But I do think at the end of the day, he knows his best. The guys that have his best stuff are the starters, and we'll leave Bradish or Grayson or say, hey, give me the ball. 6th inning, I'm throwing 100 pitches. It's 2-1. We need one more out. I think he sticks with the. It's hard to say. I want to say sticks with the starter. Yeah, the more I talk about it, I don't know, but I will. I think our starters give us the best chance. So
one more high leverage question from the right-handed perspective. My answer is Webb. Who gets the first crack and the biggest? I don't think it really matters. I guess, like we said, Garcia, Simeon, the Rangers lineup. I don't want to spend too much time like speaking it into existence, but they're probably, the best lineup, frankly, that is left. Probably best lineup, period. And like their lineup is just loaded. I'm hoping we get a lot of ground balls and the weather's bad and the crowd's wild, and then they press in game 3. So that's my logic. But high leverage moment, 8th inning, 9th inning, tight game. I like Webb in those situations over Cano. What about you guys, Justin?
So you could also think about, we'll see who's going to make the roster. I'm guessing tomorrow. I do like, someone mentioned Wells. I think he's a good option as a 8th or 9th inning guy. He throws hard. He's got a good sinker. So I could see him or Cano being the closer, or bringing in a righty to face some righties. So I'm throwing in Wells in there, and Cano, he when he has rest, he can be a really good pitcher with that sinker he's got, and a lot of movement on his fastball. He seemed to get into trouble when he kind of didn't have rest, or whether he was just, I don't know. He was inconsistent. So obviously he worries everyone, but when he's on, he can really put it on.
Assuming Bradish gets you 8 innings, you're not.
Bradish gets you 8 innings, and you're.
But I'm saying your answer for the 9th inning is Cano against the righties for game 1.
Toss up. I'm good with Cano or Wells.
You can't do it. Only one guy is left him out.
All right, Justin, I'm gonna go Wells then. Actually,
I would say, for the record, I don't know if I mumbled. I said Webb. I'd rather have Jacob Webb come out.
I like him too, but I'd pick Wells.
I'm with Justin. Definitely Cano and Wells. I think Cano kind of struggled in the closer role. He was so set, kind of being the 8th inning setup man, that you might just want to leave him there, let him crush that role, and then turn to Wells or kind of match up lefty righty for that last inning. Don't forget about Kramer. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be different. Like, you just have to get 3 outs any which way, and anything's possible.
I was gonna say,
I trust the starters more than Webb. I mean, if you ask these guys just to get, throw it as hard as they can for 20 pitches, they can do some stuff.
I was gonna say, so there's a difference between the 8th, 9th inning and then high leverage moments, right? Like, depending on how the game's going. So it's gonna be, like you said, if it's the 5th or 6th inning, but it's a high leverage moment, that might be Jacob Webb. Whereas Cano in the 8th inning, high lever, 8th, 9th inning. So many different things can happen. It'll be fascinating. It'll be more interesting, frankly, to break it down after the game because there's second guessing, and that's the fun part. Let me go 2 more questions that I had in my head for the Orioles, and then we'll get to some football. First is the lineup. I think is going to be fairly easy to predict for game 1, assuming Dunning is a righty for the Rangers. I think that means Frazier gets to start at second, Arias gets to start at third, and Gunner's at short. Hicks should probably not be in the lineup, I'm assuming. Mountcastle gets the spot there, and then Hicks comes off the bench. What do you guys think is the final decision there? Because it's got to be Hayes, Mullins, and Santander, O'Hearn at first. Mountcastle's the DH or Hicks is the DH. It would be that's the first hard decision. So what's your prediction there, Justin?
As far as DH, and I'm assuming that outfield set is correct. You got to go with Mountcastle.
And then Hicks is the first pinch hitter.
Yeah, or then is Kirsten going to make the roster?
No,
I hope so.
How's he make the roster? Who are you leaving off?
Yeah, that's the question. I agree. Frazier probably plays second. Did you say Urias? Well, why not Westberg?
Because I feel like Westberg bats against the lefty in game 2 against Haney, but
That's definitely right.
And then Frazier bats in game 1.
Mateo
Yeah,
could
I guess Westberg comes off the bench for when a lefty comes in.
Mateo will pinch run. So the only way Kjerstad makes the roster, Michael, is if they there's 2 ways he makes it. One is if they left off Hicks or Mateo, which I don't think happens.
No, I don't either.
And then the second is he can take 1 less pitcher. Now there's a thought to doing that because you have Kramer, Flaherty, and Gibson. So you have a lot of long guys. I don't think he does that. I think Kjerstad stays off, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kjerstad snuck into the ALCS roster. But I think he's the odd guy out. Hicks. So you guys think Hicks comes off the bench?
Hicks comes off the bench.
Yeah, I'll start Mountcastle.
And then for game 2, it's kind of the same. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but can't help it. So game 2, they're going to throw out Haney. Now they could throw out Haney.
Montgomery.
Nah, because that'd be too short rest. They'll let
lefty regardless.
It's 5 days.
Lefty regardless.
It is.
Fine. Lefty regardless. Hayes has been getting that start at the top of the lineup. I don't like that he moves Gunner all the way down. It's like I just
too far.
Right, too far. What are we doing with that freaking lineup? Does Mullins make Let me slow down for 1 second, ask my specific question, and then let you guys bullshit. So, Justin, I feel like McCann, it's a back-to-back game. So it's going to be – it's a nice –
I don't think you think about that at all.
Yeah,
especially with the days off. No, don't even go there.
But he could pinch hit against lefty.
No, not that I don't like McCann, but you don't have to think about resting Rutschman because it's back.
I didn't say resting. I just figured why, I like McCann.
Put him at catcher and let Rutschman DH.
Right, but
I think
it could happen.
I think I can touch on the lineup. I was at a game recently against lefties, so you're correct. Westberg is in there, Gunner, and Mateo actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if he bats 9th in game 2, maybe for a defensive, especially if you're up 1-0. Hayes at the top, Mountcastle better be in that lineup. I mean, our splits are actually a little bit better versus lefties.
Mountcastle definitely make it. That wouldn't be a question.
O'Hearn, the odd guy out there, and Hicks is the D. I'm sorry for getting ahead of you, but you got Santander still and Mullins.
And Mullins not great, but I don't love Hicks either. I mean, I know he's the matchup. He doesn't even hit that. I don't know. I trust Mullins more, even though it's lefty, but we probably won't get that.
But then, so the DH in that spot is O'Hearn or Hicks. And that's why I said I like McCann.
O'Hearn or Mountcastle, however you want the fielding.
Okay, so so both of you feel like Hicks isn't going to start either game 1 or game 2.
I could see him starting against a lefty.
Definitely versus the lefty. I think he will. I'm saying
I
don't think there's a big difference between him and Mullins, and I'd almost rather have Mullins' defense in there.
But I'm saying so if Mullins plays center, then Hicks takes the DH spot. That means O'Hearn wouldn't start against the lefty. That's what you think will happen.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. Later in the year, he wasn't. I mean, most of the year, he wasn't really playing O'Hearn against the lefty.
I agree. I think O'Hearn comes off the bench in game 2. Hicks comes off.
You always need bench guys in the playoffs. They're making bullpen changes real quick. So
that's why I feel like if we can just fast forward both these games, the game to 1-1 in the 6th inning.
No.
We can. That'll stress us out.
I want more than one.
So, all right, let's get to Cool. That was good.
Yeah, we're all clearly excited. It'll be fun.
All right, so here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to let you guys, everybody just wants to make money. We've established before the confidence is as high as it can be when you're betting on people and human beings that we have no idea who they are, and besides watching them on television. So betting on football is hard. It's not easy. But I'm going to start with Michael, because Michael spends a lot of time trying to find an edge. Because if you're going to bet on football, you at least have to have some sort of system, some sort of process. So I want to give you about 3 to 4 minutes here. How can people make some money? What are you doing to make some money? What are your thoughts here for the games this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I came up with some bets this week. I got to preface this by saying I don't love the betting card, but sometimes when that happens, you sweep the board. So that's why you got to play it and get your skin in the game. First pick I like is going to be a little contrarian. I think it's going to be the theme with me if you haven't caught on yet. I actually like the Falcons at home against Houston. So let's paint a little story of each team's season. Atlanta started 2-0, really hot, but then lost their next two against Detroit and Jacksonville, both pretty solid teams and both on the road. So the market's really soured on them. I'm saying this is a good buy low opportunity. Ritter is a horrible quarterback, period. But he's not that bad at home. Week 1 against Carolina, he was 15 of 18, which is like a crazy percentage. 100 quarterback rating. Week 2 led them back to come back against Green Bay, scored 25 and 24 in each. So that's kind of the angle there. Houston, I do love. They were my best bet last week. One of the most impressive teams. And their season's polar opposite. They lost their first 2, looked horrible, but then they had 2 great wins, beating Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. Now everyone's jumping on board. I just think this line has gone too far the other way to get under a field goal. So I like Atlanta. If it's under a field goal, I mean, I'm just going to play it on the money line. Don't mess with the points. Play the minus 125.
I feel like
whatever it is, but
before
go ahead.
Before I go to your next game, Ritter, it's probably the case for a lot of these guys. Once you have the lead, you play so much differently. So if they can build the lead against Houston, whereas Stroud doesn't have to have the lead, and that shows you the difference. That to me shows the difference in quarterback. It's like, how do you play without the lead? So Falcons is one game for you. Go ahead. What's the next game?
Yeah, another one is not the prettiest one here. You might not want to watch these because they're not going to be the most fun. But give me the Patriots at home against the Saints. New England. I was looking at their schedule. Probably the toughest schedule through the first 4 games. They got blown out by Dallas, but week 1 they lost to Philly by 5. Week 2 they lost to Miami 24-17. So again, very respectable. Holding Miami to that is probably the most impressive thing, and it was done against them this year. They beat the Jets 15-10, nothing to go home about, but they outgained them about 2-1, like 350 to 175, whatever it was. So they don't have a great offense, but I do think they have more upside. When they got rid of Matt Patricia and brought in Bill O'Brien, it's at least an adult in the room. It'll make a difference. New Orleans, on the other hand, doesn't really score that much. So I don't think they score more than 20 points in 4 games this week. Kind of let Tampa Bay run it up against them last week. So I know home field isn't that important, but it's also a dome team kind of going outside to Foxborough. So give me the Pats.
Okay, so Pats, Falcons, and then I know there's always, so last time you were on here, we missed last week, but the week before, and I'm going to post it again. Your theory, not your theory, but the theory that you use to help you with teaser bets. Is there a teaser before I let Justin roll for football? What do you like is there a teaser spot? Anything we should look at?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have to get into the reasons why, but the math just works out. So Indianapolis is plus 2.5 against Tennessee. That's a low total. Get them up to 8.5. And the other one is the New York Jets are, again, 2.5 against Denver, a low total. Get that up to 8.5.
I like that.
Taking it around. That's my favorite play of the 3.
Those 2 teasers. Yeah, the Broncos 8.5 seems like a ridiculous number.
And Tennessee to win by margin. If it loses, it loses. But I like it.
So Michael's gonna do a little write up about what he just said. Give you guys a little bit more information. Justin, go ahead. I know not to set you up here, but you won last year 58%, just for the record, 58% wins with all of our friends. I don't know what your record is this year. I am on the wrong side of so many different things. I'm frustrated. I don't even want to give my reasons for the things that I like here this week, because my favorite game last week I got on and tell everybody was the Patriots. So you guys weren't on with me. But anyway, I said I love the Patriots. Now Michael likes the Patriots this week. Guarantee the Patriots will cover. I'll bet the Saints. Okay. Justin, do you agree with Michael? Things you like with him, things you like yourself? What do you got?
Yeah, so yeah, I was gonna say I want to piggyback on what Michael was saying as far as a teaser, and I would incorporate, as long as you get New England at least at a +1, 1.5, get them over 7. Do them with the Jets. So I agree with the Jets pick. I can't see Denver out like crushing the Jets by any means. I think both games are low scoring, so I would take over 7 on both sides, Patriots and Jets. I would like that. The other games, standalone games, I agree with the Atlanta take, exactly what Michael said. Buy low on Atlanta, sell high on Houston. And then I like a couple of home dogs that I like their spots. And I've seen the spread drop. I don't know if there's specific reasons why, but I like the Rams against the Eagles. I think I could see the Eagles finally getting a loss here. So maybe even sprinkle a little money line on the Rams. I like what I saw from the Rams last week, and I think I didn't actually like them before the year, but I think I'm just gonna tell myself I'm a little wrong about that. And does Cup have a chance to play? I saw he was gonna maybe a limited practice. Maybe. Either way, they have good weapons around Stafford, even without Cup. He's developing good rapport with those new guys. I like the Rams with the points. I think it could be a close game. Rams could squeak it out. And then I also like the Vikings. I think the Chiefs got really lucky to win that Sunday night game. Mahomes didn't look quite right. The Chiefs are great. They're a great team. They are, but there are definitely some flaws that they could be exposed a little bit. I like Minnesota when they're an underdog at home. I like grabbing those points. I think it's around 4. I really like those. I just have a good feeling about that. So those would be my main plays this week.
I like the Vikings in that spot. What about college football? Do you guys take any college football games? Justin?
Not really. I just know Maryland has a big game against Ohio State. Right. But I don't really honestly follow college that much.
What about you, Michael?
Yeah, honestly, with MLB playoffs during the week this week, that probably cut into the college football time. We're recording this Thursday night, so got tomorrow to look at it. Haven't yet.
Do you typically bet the college football games?
Really small, the primetime games, but I like to get some action down here and there. Nothing crazy.
Cool. All right.
Definitely not as nearly as in depth as NFL or baseball. It's much more. But yeah.
Well, so my opinions on the NFL, I think I said this. I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but I can't bet until the playoffs because I'll just get too emotional. I'm like mumbling under my breath. I still hate the Patriots. Like I'll do $20, $30, $40 parlays to win like $1,500 or something if I get lucky, but I won't bet. And, I've been known to bet way more than probably I should on certain games, but it comes down to coaching for me. And on a week-to-week basis, it's easier to not be emotional and analyze what's going on. So lot to look at this week. My favorite thing though last week was the Patriots because of the coaching edge. So
if I was on, I would have told you I like Dallas.
But now this week, if I had to like the Patriots, I can't get it out of my head, but it would be because of the coaching edge.
You gotta leave the emotions out of it.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing this. We'll do a little write-up. Make sure your picks are documented. But
yeah, maybe we'll throw some baseball out there too.
Yeah, love the Orioles. I think they're gonna sweep. I know, whatever. I'm supposed to say that, but
I like your confidence. I hope we do.
For real. I'm just hoping for win any way possible.
Cool. All right, well, I'll see you guys next week. And cool. Good luck, everybody.
Go O's.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, go O's.